Welcome to my final installment of the How to Play Your Role in a Trio series, and in this video I'll be covering the role known as Fragger. The timestamps for this video are on the screen right now, so if you do want to skip around and watch certain parts of the video, that is totally fine, but I would highly suggest that you watch the whole thing through. Now, I don't want to waste too much of your time, so let's hop right into your role as a Fragger in a trio. I'm going to start off this video by talking about what loot you should carry as a Fragger in a trio. The number one item you should carry as a Fragger is a Spazz shotgun. The Spazz is your purple and gold shotgun, and this is the only weapon in the game that can deal 200 damage in one shot. Your job as a Fragger is to try and get the first kill on the opposing team when you're fighting them. If you are able to just semi-consistently 200 the first player on an opposing team, your trio will win many more fights. If you can't find a Spazz shotgun though, then I would give your Fragger the best shotgun you guys can find. Their next inventory slot should be filled with an AR. The type of AR doesn't really matter for a Fragger though. While an IGL and support usually carry 3 meds or utilities, I would recommend that your Fragger carries 3 weapons. So this means that their third slot should either be the best SMG you can find, or if you're fortunate enough to get a heavy sniper, I would highly recommend you give it to your Fragger. If your Fragger is able to heavy snipe a wall and then 200 an opponent consistently, this is a great way to start off fights. Their next 2 slots should be filled with heals, and I usually recommend that the Fragger carries minis and big pots. That's all for what loot a Fragger should carry, so now let's hop into their role during your drop spot. While you're gliding into your drop spot, as a Fragger you need to make sure that you're able to consistently get the best drop for your drop spot. This way, if another player is contesting the same chest or floor loot spawn as you, you are able to consistently know that you're going to get the weapon first and instantly kill them. This confidence may not seem a lot, but is an absolute game changer in winning your drop spot. They should be so confident, in fact, that they should almost always 50-50 a chest or floor loot spawn and know that they're going to get the first kill on the opposing trio and give their team the upper hand. Finally, once you're landed and you're kind of looted up, it is your job to make sure that you get the first kill on the opposing team. This means that you should play very aggressive on the opposing trio, but make sure that you're not playing dumb. Playing aggressive is totally fine, you just want to make sure that you do it in a controlled fashion so that you don't get yourself killed. Making sure that you play smart in your drop spot while you play aggressive is extremely important because I see a lot of Fraggers do the opposite and get themselves killed, costing their team their drop spot. It is also important that you try and team up with a support player to look for 2v1s to get this first elimination. Playing aggressive will also stop the enemy team from having time to loot for things like shields and better weapons, while it buys your own team times to get things like that. It's the little things like this that help you win a drop spot and prevent your team from dying in early game. That's all for a Fragger's job during your drop spot, so now let's head into mid game. A Fragger's number one job is to make sure that your team has enough Storm Surge tags going into endgame. It is your IGL's job to help you get into positions to get more Storm Surge tags, but it is your job to make sure that you're getting the Storm Surge tags. If you do end up getting into a fight during mid-game, it is your job to play extremely aggressive in these fights. You want to try as hard as you can to get the first kill in the fight and do it as quickly as possible. If you're able to get the first kill quickly, it should be pretty easy to finish off the rest of the team pretty quickly as well. Killing opponents fast during mid-game will help prevent things like third parties or the storm pushing into your fight. So as a Fragger, you want to use your better shotgun and better SMG to play aggressive and box fight opponents as much as possible. Once again though, playing aggressive does not mean that you're playing dumb. That's all for mid-game, so now let's hop into a Fragger's role during endgame. During endgame, there are a lot of little jobs that you as a Fragger need to make sure that you're doing. These are things like supplying your IGL with hard mats and fixing any holes he left in the tunnel. Your next job as a Fragger is to be constantly looking for picks. Once you do get a pick, let your support player know where you killed the player and tell them to go loot. It is important that you don't waste your own time to go loot, and instead you keep looking for picks. If your team ever is in shambles, it is your job to make sure that you're able to get refresh kills. This means that if your team does need kills or mats, you can play a little bit more risky to try and get them. Overall, that's a Fragger's job during endgame, so now let's talk about a Fragger's job in more specific situations like height. When you're on height, it is your job as a fragger to try and get as many kills as possible. Do not look for loot and do not make any calls at this time. Just use your AR to get as many kills as possible. Try to look for players that are getting cracked, are building out of wood, aren't building at all, or are getting tagged by storm surge, because these could be easy kills in late game. If you do see any of this, shoot at them as much as possible because they could be easy kills. If a support player or IGL calls out to grief somebody's game, spam those players as much as possible. The reason you're probably griefing a player is because they have something like an RPG or grappler, and they are threats to your high ground. So if you make their life as hard as possible, they will have to focus on their own life instead of griefing your high ground. Because this video was a little bit shorter, I'll just do a quick brief overview of your job as a fragger. First of all, you should carry a Spazz as much as possible, as well as the best SMG in your squad. Your job when you're fighting an opposing trio is to make sure that you get the first kill and that you do it quickly. This means a fragger may not be the best player in the world, but they should be really good at hitting 200 pumps. During mid-game, it is your job to tag as many players as possible so that your team doesn't have to worry about storm surge. During endgame, it is your job to get as many kills as possible, and if your team does need a refresh, it is your job to try and get a refresh kill for them. If your team really does need a refresh, it's okay to play a little bit riskier to get one. Overall though guys, that is it for this video, and I really do hope it helped you out. If this video did help you out, I would highly recommend you watch the IGL and support videos that are linked in the description down below. Also, if this video did help you out, please drop a like on it, it really does mean a lot. Now I will be dropping a what a perfect trio video looks like soon, so if you do want to see that, I would highly suggest you subscribe with notifications on so you can be one of the first ones to see it. Best of luck to you and your trio. Thank you for watching. I love you all. I'm out. Peace.